Hello everyone. The poem I've taken today is Sita by Toru Dutt. I know most of you have requested a line by line explanation on this poem in the comment section on my last video. And since my last video on this didn't serve the purpose, I'm making another video on the same poem so that I can give you a detailed analysis. First, let me give a brief introduction on the poet Toru Dutt. Toru Dutt was born in Calcutta in 1856 to father Govind Chandra Dutt and mother Kshetramoni in a well-to-do family. Though born a Hindu, she was baptized as a Christian in 1862 along with the rest of her family. Toru was the youngest child after sister Aru and brother Abju. She went to Europe in 1869 for her studies and spent 1 year in France and 3 years in England, where she did her education in Cambridge University. She was well versed in languages like Bengali, English, French, and in later years she also learned Sanskrit, which made easy for her to understand Indian epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata. Personally, death of her siblings Abju and Aru affected Toru immensely, which created a fear of death in her. We can also see in some of her poems how she misses her siblings and remembers their childhood days like the Kasurina tree and Sita. Also, there is some kind of depression in her poem. It's strange that her life parallels with poet John Keats, who also happened to have died at a very young age like herself. Works by Toru Dutt. Novels. Bianca, written in English. It's an unfinished novel but was still published by her father after her death. Les General de Mademoiselle de Eves, written in French. Also, Ancient Ballet and Legends of Hindustan. Poems. Sita, Lotus, Our Kasurina Tree, Lakshman, Christmas, My Vocation, Sonnet, The Young Captive, and so on, to name a few. She has also translated some of the works from French to English. Let me now recite the poem Sita by Toru Dutt. Three happy children in darkened room. What do they gaze on with wide open eyes? A dense, dense forest where no sunbeam prays. Gigantic flowers on creepers that embrace. Tall trees there in a quiet lucid lake. The white swans glide there, wearing from the brake. The peacock springs there. Herds of wild deer race there. Patches gleam with yellow waving grain there. Dwells in peace the poet anchoret. But who is this fair lady? Not in vain she weeps, for lo, at every tear she sheds, tears from three pairs of young eyes fall amain, and bowed in sorrow are the three young heads. It is an old, old story, and the lay which has evoked sad Sita from the past is by a mother sung. 'Tis hushed at last, and melts the picture from their sight away. Yet shall they dream of it until the day. When shall those children by their mother's side gather army as erst at eventide? Let's now take a look at the explanation. The first two lines. Three happy children in darkened room. What do they gaze on with wild open eyes? In the first line, we get a picture of three happy children sitting in a dark room listening to something. There is a question that's being asked by the poet to the readers. What are the three children gazing at with their eyes wide open? What are they listening to that is so interesting that they are involved in it so much? Let's move to the next line. A dense, dense forest where no sunbeam prays, gigantic flowers on creepers that embrace, tall trees there, in a quiet lucid lake. The white swans glide there, wiring from the brake. The peacock springs there, herds of wild deer race there, patches gleam with yellow waving grain there, dwells in peace the poet anchored. In the above line, we get a picture of a dense forest. We also get a picture of how dense the forest is. It's so dense that there is no space for sunlight. The forest is covered with trees and its branches. Even though it's morning, it looks very dark. There is big wild flowers on creepers that has grown around the tall trees. There is quiet lake which is crystal clear. In that lake there are swans floating and making sound while they stop at intervals. There is peacock which is leaping in joy and a group of wild deers racing each other. There are patches on the land which are shining with yellow greens. All these things are making the forest a pleasant and peaceful place to live, and the poet feels that it's like a home for poets, like a religious like recluse where they can spend time in solitude and tranquility. But who is this fair lady? Not in vain she weeps, for lo, at every tear she sheds, tears from three pairs of young eyes fall amain, and bowed in sorrow are the three young heads. After the beautiful description of the forest, the story now moves to another part, where the storyteller says that there is some beautiful woman sitting all alone in this peaceful forest who looks unhappy and she is crying. And this is making those three children who are so much involved in the story cry as well. They have bowed their head in sadness. It is an old story, and the lay which has evoked sad Sita from the past. Now we get a picture of who the story is about. The storyteller talking. It's an old story, it's a story of Sita of Ramayana that is being recalled from the past. Is by a mother sung, 'tis hushed at last, and melts the picture from their sight away. Yet shall they dream of it until the day. When shall those children by their mother's side gather army as erst at eventide? Now we know from the above line who the storyteller is. It's the mother of those three children who's telling a tale from Ramayana about Sita and her struggle. But when her children seemed sad and started crying after listening to the story, she finishes the story in hurry, as she is unable to see her children sad. But the poet says even though the mother wants those children to forget the story, they would still remember it until the end of the day. Finally, in the end, after finishing the story, the mother gathers all her children and hugs them, pacifying. This was the line by line explanation for the poem. To give an overview of the whole poem, we can divide this into three parts. In the first part, the three happy children poet Toru is referring to is none other than Toru herself, Abju, Aru, her siblings. All three of them are in a dark room and have their eyes wide open and are immersed in the story that's being told. The second part of the poem mainly concentrates on the story that's being told and on the main character of the poem. The story is about Sita of Ramayana and her life in the dense forest after her husband left her alone to survive. The story first explains the beauty of the forest, the birds, the animals who live there. Then the story talks about Sita, who is crying alone in the forest. And when those three children heard about this, even they start crying for Sita. In the third part, it's revealed who is telling the story. It's none other than Toru's mother, who have who has picked up an old tale from Ramayana about Sita, which is a sad story about her hardship, and those three children get emotional hearing this. Finally, in the end, after telling the story, the mother gathers her children and pacifies them. Hope you have understood the analysis of this poem. I've given both line by line explanation and an overview of the whole poem. Also, please check the link in the description box below for written analysis. Let me know in the comment section if you need any analysis of any other poem. I'll try and put it up. Thanks for watching. Bye.